and welcome. It's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian. And today I wanted to chat with you for a bit about your spirit guides and more specifically a way that you can communicate more easily with your guides. At least for some of us it will be more easy, and get your guidance in a more clear, definite way, because I know that even for those of us who work with our guides, sometimes we're not always sure about what we're receiving, what we're downloading, what we're hearing, or sometimes we just find it difficult to download or to hear or to receive from our guides, to get the guidance. Sometimes we have a hard time making a connection, or maybe you don't have a hard time. I mean, honestly, I don't have a hard time most days, but even still, sometimes you want to take it to the next level. And work with your guides, co-partner with them, partner with your guides to create a more fantastic life. So, very simply, one way you can do this that you may have not thought of is to utilize journaling. Or you can think of it as channeled guide writing, or I just call it guide writing or guide journaling. And if you are a journaler, then you will love this method. Now, if you're not a journaler, it's probably going to be a new thing to you, but I would still encourage you to think about it and check it out. And I even brought a notebook, and of course you don't have to journal in a notebook, but there is something cool about doing it by hand in the old style writing. I feel like it opens up some other parts of your brain, but you can also do your guide writing at a keyboard, and I've done that before too. I do find it more satisfying, more visceral, more tangible, more real to do it with a pen and a notebook. But it's up to you. Anyway, I'll probably be teaching a class on this soon. I'm hoping to put together an actual class, at least a mini course. But until then, just, stripping it down to the most basic framework, what you do is you sit down with your notebook, or if you're going to do your laptop, or I suppose you could do it in your phone, but really probably a keyboard would be good. So yes, either a keyboard, something with a larger keyboard, or your notebook. And what you want to do is write out your questions for your guides first. You start with that, and if you have a lot of questions, like a lot of things, when I say questions too, let me clarify that. I mean, what kind of questions? Well, whatever you want help with in your life, you can ask questions about that. You can actually just write down that you're asking for help, but with this process of the journal guided writing, you're not just asking them to help and intervene. You're sort of asking what you can do, what your part is, how you can co-partner with them, or maybe even how you need to see the situation differently. So these are examples of questions, but or you might ask them if there's anything else you need to do. Just an example. I want to think of I've done so much of this writing, it's hard for me to even think of only one isolated example, because I do it for everything. But let's say, I don't know, let's just make it up. Let's say that you are having some financial issues and you wish to increase your income. Okay, something very practical here. Then you might start off by asking some questions. When I say asking questions, you need to write these down, okay? And you can do it one by one, or you can do it in a group. Normally, I find that even if I write out a bunch of questions at once, I can only go so long in my guided journaling, before my brain is taking in so much. So I usually only get answers to one or two questions in a setting. And not because the guides don't want to give me more, they do, but the first two answers usually blow my mind, and then I have to go and think about that, or do something, or I don't know, change something, or that's the other thing too. You will get great guidance, and you will have the inspiration you need to make changes, but then that takes energy. So anyway, I don't know. You could go ahead and write out all the questions you had in one area of life at once if you wanted, but just know that you may not be able to write the answers down to channel that through all in one setting. So it might be better to focus on one or two questions at once. I'll let you decide on that. But if you were having, let's say that you were working at a job that you loved, but still not bringing in the money, that you wanted, or that you needed. Let's say you just had some financial struggles. Maybe you're not working a job you love, but let's say you had some financial struggles. Uh, you could ask your guides, what can I do to help, you know, bring in more financial abundance? You could also ask them, what do I need to see about this situation? What, if you have a long-term pattern of financial struggle, okay, you could say, what do I need to know about this pattern? Why is this pattern here in my life? Why am I creating this? These are some ideas of possible questions. I mean, it can be a number of different questions, whatever you feel is right, but some types of questions do produce more fruit. For example, any area of life, it could be about relationships. Let's say you want to get help with, or finances, or even your spirituality and your connection, your psychic abilities. But if you have patterns that you know of already, where like long-term chronic issues in an area, you should be asking, in my opinion, about that pattern, why that pattern exists in your life, why you are creating that or allowing that, what it has come to teach you, what are the gifts in the pattern. I know that's hard to want to do when you're struggling, but there is an old saying about the more you resist, or what you resist persists. So maybe leaning into that pattern with the help of your guides. And so anyway, you just ask them, okay? But you ask them on paper or keyboard. You write or type it in. And listen, sometimes just asking the question is enough to start creating a cleansing shift and a healing shift. So if you feel exhausted after you've written out the questions or your thoughts, I think you should take a break and go do something else, okay? I know that might surprise you. You don't have to do this all in one setting, okay? You can, and I often do. But yeah, sometimes, you just got to leave those questions sitting there. And what's interesting is they'll answer you even if you do that. I'm serious. Like, I'll go off and clean house or something, or take a nap, or go somewhere, and later in the day, I'll start hearing the answers to my questions. So then I got to run to my notebook or my keyboard and write it down. And do write it down. Otherwise, it's not guided journaling, okay? It's cool to get the answers, but one of the points of this is that we lose so much guidance. We get it. You probably lose more guidance than you know. Like, you probably are getting so much guidance, dear one, but it comes in these quick snapshots, and you're like, oh yeah, in the moment, and you think you'll remember it, or maybe you do for a day or two, but then you don't, okay, because you're a human. That's why. We're all like that. So that's why, when you get answers to your questions, you want to go back and write them down in your guide journal. And then, sit with them and be willing to take action on them. But you can do this for a number of different areas. And listen, one thing that would take this to an even higher level, and, this is why I needed to teach at least a little mini course on it. It does help if you will address your questions to a certain group of guides that kind of work in the realm that you are working with. But if you don't know what that group of guides is for now, that's okay. You can just address it to your guides, or to your ancestors, your angels, whatever your interior understanding is of the unseen forces who advise us and assist us. You can just address it, your concerns in general, to that group. But there are groups of guides and helpful spirits. And I've been bringing through more guidance about that and kind of mapping it out. I don't know, I might even write a book about it. But for now, maybe just a mini course. So think about that. Like the other day, I was feeling scattered and overwhelmed. And so I just wrote my guides about that. And I asked them what I could do to deal with this feeling, because I have a lot going on, getting ready to go to camp and stuff right now, on top of everything else. Plus we're having serious major home remodeling in the front of the house and the exterior. Oh, it's crazy. So anyway, feeling a little overwhelmed and a little scattered, and I asked, that's another thing, you can just write about your feelings a little bit. Don't don't spend too long on it, because the purpose of this is to communicate with your guides and not just do a feeling dump, which I'm all for doing feeling dump journaling. That's a separate process. It's not exactly the same as communicating with your guides. But, I just mentioned to them, hey, I'm feeling so, I'm feeling, well, maybe a little scattered and overwhelmed. And then I addressed my guides of organization, the organizing guides. And there is actually a larger cosmic group of organizer guides. And this isn't just people who help you organize your closet or your material life. It is, though. These are the organizing agents of the universe. They vibrate to a similar planetary energy of Saturn. They align with the signs of Capricorn and Virgo. I've brought through this information. So by addressing them by their group name, I'm calling specifically upon those guides that specialize in what I want to accomplish, which is to be less chaotic. That's what the organizer guides do. They help to, balance chaos and rein in chaos. Chaos isn't always bad, by the way, but if you're trying to get stuff done, it can be. Okay, so on a time schedule, on a certain time frame. So yes, I called upon the organizer guides. So that is an example. There are also other guide groups, the guides of compassion and mercy, for example. The guides of understanding. If you're dealing with misunderstandings or conflicts, you can call upon them. Your money master guides. These are guides that, don't just function in the realm of money, but in the realm of exchange of currency. Money is a currency that is exchanged. So yes, there are money master guides you can call upon. Of course, there are healer guides. You probably know that. There are, protector guides. You probably know that too. But then there is a group of guides that are at large mass. They are dedicated to your empowerment. These are your empowerment and boundary guides. So if you have issues with boundaries or, self-esteem or standing up for yourself, you can call upon the empowerment guides. And they can give you specific help. And by the way, you can just call upon them. You can call upon these groups even in your other guide communication processes. It's not like you have to do the guided journaling to communicate with these groups. But I think you will find that if you combine the guided journaling with calling upon specific types of guides to address your specific questions, that the guidance you get will be uncanny, incredible, and amazingly helpful. So that's it. That's what I have to say on this for you today, and I hope you did find it helpful, and I hope that at least some of you watching will take it and run with it. And listen, if you do, let me know if anything cool happens. I'd like to hear about it. So, as much as you feel comfortable sharing, please comment below. Until next time, I'm Psychic Cynthia, and wishing you many bright blessings and many wonderful adventures communicating with your guides through journaling and guided writing.